Welcome back to victoryisv.com. My name is Venice, and as you might remember, we are planning our path to victory. In this particular video, we are going to be underwriting a multifamily property located in San Antonio, Texas. We will be utilizing the multifamily mindset underwriting template, which is this Excel file here, and the offer and memorandum, which is located here. In addition to that, I've already gone to the website and have downloaded and created my own little folder for the Mission Villas San Antonio's, because we're going to need to have a look at the rent roll, the T12, and this is the spreadsheet that we're going to be underwriting to. So let's go ahead and get started. Great. We are going to navigate straight to the input sheet because this is where we are going to be populating the information. I am going to go ahead and just copy and paste the name of the property and paste it right into this input field. Okay, let's make this a little bigger. All right, our number of units. This property comes in at, I want to say it was, I look at my folder because I have a, I didn't do that name and convention. 176 units. So our goal is to acquire a 175 unit plus multifamily value add opportunity at we have these desired attractive terms that we have already outlined in the next 2 months. So what we are doing now is underwriting as many properties as we can that are located in our target areas that we've already completed the research. So this particular property comes in just by 1 unit. Our purchase price is our strike price. At this point, we don't really need to populate something here. I would be interested to know what the multifamily coach says that we should be populating. High level, I've been just doing the net operating income according to what these people are telling me and multiplying it by 10. So with that said, I'm just going to scroll right through to see if I can come up with the NOI to see what they're telling me it is. Interestingly, they included their T12 here, which is interesting. Okay, so the net operating income was $715,039. So assuming that they are right, yeah, because this is the assumptions numbers. If we take this number right here and then just multiply it by 10, that would give us a strike price. All right, if we come in and put an equal sign and I do a paste and I do times 10, and I'm going to get rid of that comma. Great. So our strike price is $7,150, $7,150,390. Our hold time, we're going to go with the standard 5 years. Asking price. There is no asking price listed. I think it's very interesting that they said, hey, just tell us what you want. I wouldn't tell you what I want. All right. So right now, let's leave this blank. Asking price per unit. That is a formula, so we're going to skip that. Price per square foot. Again, a formula. We're focusing on the blue and the yellow. I just have a tendency to read each and every line item. This is a C property type, but let's go ahead and see what this is saying. Year built was 1965. Wow. I think I need to re-verify what property types this might be. It did have a renovation because that age probably would have deterred me, but I think I read somewhere it had some renovations and new roofing and things like that. So right now, again, I'm just looking for the property type. hoping that it would have been listed here. So I'm going to just do a Control F and see if we can, okay, find it off of keyword searches. Wow, that's interesting. The only time it's mentioned is when people are trying to boast about the type of items and accomplishments they're in. So let's go with type. Where is that? I don't see type here. Where is that? Oh, right here, type. Nope, not what I wanted. Not what I wanted. All right, I really think it's a B or C, but I guess we now need to go in and read the verbiage. I think that's pretty neat. They gave us some instructions on how to submit our offers, which is kind of what you would expect in a deck like this. But this is kind of, I think it might be the first time I've ever really seen this. Oh, I think what I found attractive about this property was that it is, I think, all inclusive. All right, you all, let's just go ahead and read it. I try to skim through, but we have to do what we have to do. The multifamily group is pleased to announce the exclusive offering of Mission Villas, a 176-unit apartment building complex in San Antonio, Texas. Built in 1965, the property sits on 5 acres just off the corner of a particular position, consisting of 15 two-story buildings. Mission Villa has flat roofs, replaced in 2016. So the roof was placed in 2016. We are now in 2021, which means it is only 5 years old, and it said it was replaced. I would be interested in determining, was that a full replacement? Because I believe flat roofs are not something that we in the multifamily industry are really interested in. But the fact that it's been replaced, it kind of mitigates that risk. Also, our hold period would be 5 years. So right now we're in at 5, another 5 would only make a roof 10 years. I would now question, what is the life expectancy of a flat roof? All right. With wood siding and brick exteriors. Okay, I like brick exteriors. Wood siding is a little concerning to me because of the wood pricing, but I mean, brick exterior, wood siding, it might be good. The property is currently 90% occupied with only 18 vacant units. I think that's interesting because I think I've seen somewhere bring occupancy to submarket average of 96%, and it's currently at 85. So I just see conflicting information here. I also want to double check their math. So 18 units. And I can just come here, right? I just need to sell. I'm going to do equals 176 divided by 18. Equals 18 divided by 176. Okay. So they're right, 10%. Mission Villas, 6 distinctive floor plans ranging in the size from 439 square feet, which is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath unit, to just over 1,000 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 1.5-bath townhomes. Interesting. Unit interiors are stocked with amenities including large walk-in closets, gas stoves. Okay, I like gas stoves. Since I have electricity, and with the electricity going out, I now know gas stoves are my go-to. But as a tenant, as a landlord, I'm a little concerned about having gas stoves because of the open fire. But, I'm from up north, so maybe that is a Boston thing. because down here, I should expect that my units are going to have fireplaces. All right, you all, sorry, just thinking out loud. Frost-free refrigerator, a patio, balcony, and pantry linen closets in select units. All right, it talks about the location of the property. South Antonio has been the focus of all these other good things going on. It discussed some potential value add opportunities to be opportunity to complete renovations on remaining units and increase rents by $50 a month. So if we do $50 a month times 176, assuming that, I don't know what the remaining units are. That's 8,800. And if we do that times 12, equals this times 12. All right, we potentially can raise the, I'm sorry, you all. It's been a long day, and to think I actually got a nap. So I'm looking at my numbers, and I just want to make sure that I ran them right. Okay. So in this one, I am saying $50 times 176 units. So we're assuming that we're about to do all of them. But the fact that they said remaining, let's just say that there are 100 units. So at 100 units, we have the possibility of increasing the income by $5,000 per month, assuming we update all those units. Once we do that, that will allow us then to earn us $60,000 a year to increase our income by $60,000. You see how much of a difference? So our variation or our factor there is how many units are remaining. Again, I'm just running some high-level numbers. It's the way my mind works. Implement water conservation and reduce water and sewer expense by an estimated $54,000. All right, we can verify that. Bring occupancy to submarket average of 96%, and it's currently at 85%. So again, they said 90 here, but then this says 85. So I think, I just would like to better understand that delta. Install controlled access gates. I'd be interested to know what type of rent increase that will add, the monetary factor on that value add. Highlights. Ownership has invested in new roofs, a boiler, and parking lots in the last 4 years. So this boiler particularly is singular. I remember seeing that there were like 15 buildings or something along those lines. My immediate question is, how many boilers do we need to operate at 176 units? Average rental rates for 1 and 2 bedroom units are ranked 3rd and 4th among the submarkets of San Antonio. An opportunity to invest into one of the growing cities in the country. All right, you all. Remember, I'm only here to figure out what type of building this is. I think my filter said C. I may have changed it to B. So let's just go with B. C. Let's go with C because of the year. But again, we need to figure out and determine at what point does a repair or renovation bring this factor up. So let's go with just a solid, let's do a C+. And assume the area type is a B. The year built, I know I keep saying this, was 1965. Yes, 1965. The gross potential market, gross scheduled actual. So this refers to the rent. In these fields, I did not adjust in our last setting. So I now know that I need to populate something here. So let's go ahead and look at the gross schedule actual rent. And I assume we're going to just use averages here. And then we're going to look at the market rent according to what they are saying. Okay. Wow. So let's look at the mix of the units. For a total of 176 units, we have 60 plus 57 plus 6 one-bedrooms and 53 two-bedrooms. I thought there was a mix of... I really thought there was a 3-bedroom. I think that's interesting. So let's scroll back up because now my mind is playing tricks on me. And I want to see whether or not there are actually 3 bedrooms. Yep, my mind. There are only 2 bedrooms. Interesting. I really thought I seen a mix of 3. But you all, as I mentioned, we are on a mission. So there's a very high probability that I have mistaken that for a different property. So we are pushing through. Ideally, I would want a 3-bedroom mixture, especially with the majority of the units being 2+ bedrooms. So the fact that this is the exact opposite with the majority of it being 1 bedrooms, it just makes me a little more concerned. That's all. And that's where a lot of my hesitation has come from. So again, if I have a mixture of 176 units, I would prefer the majority of those units to be 2+ bedrooms, ideally 3. All right, so with that said, our average rental income, effective rent, effective per square foot, that's the pro forma, comp supported, market, and effective. All right, so the effective rent is $738, the market rent is $767, and the comp supported rent is $783. So we're going to go ahead and say that the actual is $738 here. And then we are going to say that this one is $767. We're going to run our numbers conservatively. If we can make this work conservatively, then we are in good standing. I'm going to get rid of that just so it doesn't confuse us in any way. And I'm going to save periodically. So I've completed step 1, which is the property information. So we're going to move on to step 2. You'll notice that I saved because you want to make sure that you don't lose any good information. So at this point, we're going to enter the seller's information. So we are going to go to our lovely spreadsheets and dive into our T12. The T12 is where we're going to see our income and our expenses and how everything is rolled out. We can see that this is from December through November of 2020. We are now in March of 2021, so we are missing December of 2021, January, February, and whatever portion of March, as we are a week away from April. So pretty much the first quarter of 2021. So just keeping that in mind. I don't really need to enable editing, but I will. All right, rental income. I'm just looking at all of this. I'm going to do some high-level checks. You'll notice that I've selected the field, and I just want to make sure this number matches that number. Should it have not, that would be an indicator that their spreadsheet is off. Also, some nice high-level checks. Doing that same strategy across a particular field. I have 1615, 1615, good. And to do it randomly throughout, right? The high level checks, it makes me just feel comfortable. Should those checks have not worked out, I would have just been skeptical my whole way through using this. All right, you all, I'm sorry I get a little distracted. So let's go ahead and move back. Again, we are populating step 2 of the seller's information. So let's go to the gross potential rent, the GPR. So if we scroll all the way over, we're going to be utilizing the total column. So for the rental income, we're going to just go ahead and copy this number. I really love copying and pasting because it makes certain, it's the best way to avoid mistakes. Loss to lease is going to be this number right here. So again, we're going to just populate the information. And I'm going to go back. You notice that it went from yellow to white. So I'm going to just go ahead and say paste it as a value. I actually don't want it to do that. I am going to come up here and do this because I like it when it has, so negative 46653. I like it when it has the parentheses, but I guess it doesn't offer that. Either way, so this is a field we're going to skip. Our physical vacancy. Oh, okay, so our physical vacancy, this is our vacancy loss, our physical vacancy. So they said it was 90%. So yes, this has to be that number. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. That is extremely high. Yikes. I'm going to paste it as a value. That's at 15%. Concessions. So again, we are just locating the items here and we are populating it over here. I am not seeing anything that says concessions. So I'm going to come on over, select all the cells in the spreadsheet, do a Control F, and type in concessions. I'm going to go back and just type in CON. So I see pest control for the CON, contract services, contractors, pest control, pest control. All right, so I don't see it, just making sure. So I think it's pretty interesting that they don't offer concessions. Based on the properties that I've seen so far, it's a typical field. So our loss to bad debt is going to be $35.90. So sometimes you have to determine what is their number or what field it looks like. Also, what I am going to start implementing is after I populate the number, I think I should just, indicate to myself that I have already populated in the sheet. So green will indicate, hey, I seen that, I looked at that, and we are good. That way, should our numbers not line up later, we'll have a better way to identify which ones we've already populated. So we're looking for non-revenue units. We have employee units. I guess that would be that. Let's see what else we can do. Okay, so we are going to just utilize that. Paste it on over as a value. Utility reimbursement. So we have electric reimbursement. We have gas reimbursement. All right, so now I am, sorry you all, did we do bad debt recovery of $35.90? We did. We're going to make this green. So now let's go ahead and get everything that refers to a utility, we are now going to capture. So I see electric reimbursements. I see gas electric gas. I see trash. I see utility and water and sewer. for a total of $77,699. So I'm going to put that here, $77,699. And all the other incomes. So let me come back here and mark those green. So now I can do this, this, and oh, I didn't mean to do that. Just make those green. Come back here, make it ungreen, and then do these two items. All right. So our other income would be everything else. And as I am going to do everything else, I'm going to just make sure collecting everything and just verifying it. So late fees, laundry income, month-to-month fees, non-sufficient fund fees, pest control reimbursement, pet fees, and reletting termination fees, and vending income. The vending machine only brings in $350 a year. I find that hard to believe. Seriously, I do. All right, so at this point, I am going to just go on through and collect everything else and populate that into my other field. So that's going to be total other income for $44,358. All right. Let's move on to our expenses. I'm going to make that a dot green. Expenses, taxes are $218. Utility, we're going to just use the total utility of $163,524. Payroll. So when we're done, we're going to look at our totals and their totals, and we should expect that it should all be in alignment. Payroll expenses. Payroll seems kind of low. Yeah. Our payroll expense, I would expect to be at $1,000 per unit. We're only at $577. I wonder why this thing is going in the trash. The employees have no incentive to work. All right, that was just my initial instincts. Let's see what the utility rule of thumb is, which I like. This is awesome that this is here. Take seller's utilities and multiply it by that. And it typically comes in at $750 to $950 per unit. Wow. Okay. Interesting. So repairs and maintenance. Interestingly, we have payroll expenses here, but then we have... All right, so this number looked a little lower, but that's because it didn't seem to have the payroll. So let's go ahead and add in more. Let's add in the assistant manager, bonuses, commissions, insurance benefits. We don't have a maintenance assistant. We have a... Seriously, come on. We're paying our maintenance supervisor $15,000 to manage 175 units. This is why we need to get into this industry, you all. You scratch my back, I scratch your back type of deal. This is crazy. All right, I'm sorry. Let me just mind my commentary. And we have a workers' comp claim, which is interesting. So that's for a total of $181,993. So I'm going to come on over to this and change that to 181,993. And now we are over the top. It just doesn't, there's something funky going on here. All right, so moving on to repairs and maintenance, because that's really why I came over. All right, I think it's interesting that they broke out the different types of repairs and maintenance. So let's go ahead and total that up to become a whopping 31,330. You spend $32,000 in a year on maintenance? Uh-oh, something is funny, you all. I smell her stinker. All right, 31377. We are looking at repairs and maintenance. Now I'm going to come over and look at my rule of thumb. I should be at $500 to $700 a unit, which makes me very concerned. Just moving on. Just going to just move on to keep my commentary to myself. Insurance comes in at $49,000, which seems kind of low. This property is in San Antonio. I mean, well, I wonder what is going on out there. I would just expect my insurance to be higher. That's all. $400 a unit, or whatever the market dictates. So what is the property being valued at from the insurance company standpoint? I think that's a good question. All right, management. I don't know. All right, so maybe, okay, here it goes. Management fees. I also like to go over 100 doors because that's when you begin to tap into the economies of scale. You can hire a high tier property management company at 3.5. I mean, the higher tier property management companies prefer to have units over 100 plus units. Anything under that, they have to charge you a bit more, which is expected, right? So if I can get in at if I can get the best of the best operating my project, operating our company, our building, our complex, then that seems like a win-win. I'm sorry, you all. I said I would keep the commentary to myself. Contract services. I know I've seen this somewhere. So again, this is a grouping. We're going to total it up. And I'm also going to include credit and reporting. What is that? Legal and professional services. So I assume running credit checks and stuff? I don't know. But that's a good question, right? 26,893 is our total. 26,893. All right, I just realized you might not realize that when I am selecting these cells, I am coming down here and looking at my little sum feature to tell me what it is that I should be populating. And then I use that number to populate it here. I'm actually going to delete that number because I see there's a general admin legal section. So I'm going to go ahead and just use this number, which is 24516. 24516. And moving on to general and admin legal, that will become that following field. Asset management. Where's their marketing? Okay, here we are. Whew. I'm like, what is going on here? 5143. All right, as I'm going through these expenses, I see nothing but opportunity here. They say they did some of these renovations, but their per unit expenses come in really low. I don't know. There's a lot to consider, so we'll continue to just kind of move through. 5143. Sorry, this should be not there, but there. 5143. Okay, right? So marketing should be at $100 to $200 per unit, and it's only in at 29. So if you don't have marketing, well, that would probably explain why you have 18 only, quote unquote, only 18 units vacant. Which, if you are telling me that it is in a high demand area, I don't understand why you have 18 units and you don't have a wait list. But again, these are just questions that are coming up, and I'm just trying to wrap my head around. All right, so my total expenses at this point are coming to be $716,174. If I come down here, my total expenses is $724. So now I have to identify what am I missing. And it's going to be these items right here for a total of $84.06. So I'm going to add this into my miscellaneous. So again, our goal is to just start grouping these items, identify them here, grouping them where necessary to populate it into these fields. So now I have a total of $724, $550, $580. This is $572. I'm trying to figure out where I went wrong, so I'm going to come on in and select all my expenses. And I get $724, $580, which is in alignment here. So that makes me wonder, how is this here? So, interestingly, this number's off. This number is off. So if we do equals the sum of, see, I know initially you all thought I was crazy by doing all those high-level checks, but when you've gone through a whole hour's worth of work and those high-level checks don't check out correctly and you have to backtrack, you learn your lesson. You learn to do it up front. That way, if you need to send it right back to the vendor, you can. Because it's normally these vendors that are messing it up. So it's only a few dollars. I mean, potential items that could have caused this is, if there was a change field here and these begin to round up. So then those numbers ended up actually becoming that field. I don't know, but I think it's just very interesting. Again, these are things you want to just be mindful as you are utilizing other people's numbers. So they had a net operating income of $715. This one is saying 1.3. So let me come on back up here and see what I am missing. So I have $1,439,619 for my total income. You're right, you all. I didn't add this up. Let's make sure this is working. Okay, that works. That works. So I'm going to do equals. I'm going to take my entire income. Sorry, my total income. Told y'all it's been a long day. And I'm going to do minus. And I wanted to minus these expenses right here, the actual number. Okay, and I get $715,039. over here, though, I get a net operating income of this. So now I want to look and see where this information is being pulled. How is it coming up with that? All right, so let's come up here. We have 1569 293. Up here I had 1615 946. And then I should be subtracting 1569 293. Bingo, that's what's happening here. So here I entered this as a negative and it was screwing everything absolutely up. So if I do this, now it adjusted it, okay? Which kind of makes sense because if we're inputting the number, we're saying, I don't know, I like consistency. I thought in a field that I had to enter it negatively. So I'm going to assume that this is the reason why this is that way too. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, sorry. Let me show you how I figured that out. So when I came here, I looked at the formula and it was saying a negative, right? So that is saying take cell F14 and minus cell F15. You notice that it boxed it out and it colored it for you so you can see what you're looking at. And if I already have a negative minus a negative, right? That whole, becomes a positive. So it ended up adding that number instead. So once I fixed it, I was good to go. So now I'm going to assume that my net operating income is still off, right? I'm expecting that if I'm taking this information and just populating it into this field over here, that these numbers should add up, right? Because the numbers never lie. And numbers should add up. And that was the reason why I am going back and scrutinizing all of these fields to determine what's going on. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to make that attempt to see what happens. And then, yay, I'm feeling good. So I got down to 710, 145. This is saying 715. So I'm off by $5,000. So that is concerning to me, especially when my income, all right, so let's see what's going on here. So now, this field's already taking this field. So now I'm going to just take this and add this together and I get 1947. So I'm going to come back up and see what happens when I take this my bad debt, yep. Employee units. And vending income. 1317. All right, I have this. So let's use this, right? Okay, so again, that negative thing might be messing this up. Actually just reduced it. I don't know if we can include that as income because it's definitely not income. It's negative. So I'm going to make that a negative. So this is what I was meaning, consistency. Like if we're going to enter a negative, enter a negative. If some of them are going to be positive, some of them are going to be positive. So that's why I probably prefer the accounting method, because you know exactly what's happening. So 717, 325. I'm good. 715, 039. I'm off by $2,000, but for the most part, we're going to move on and we'll catch it somewhere else later. But again, that's why it was so important that I begin to highlight it, which reminds me that I should save periodically. So at this point, I've put in the seller's information. Let's see if we can see if anything is looking good. This cap rate is looking amazing. But I don't know at what point was that populated. All right, we are going to go ahead and move on to our section. And I love the way that it pulls right over. So we have a physical vacancy of 0.10%. We have concessions of 0, so I'm going to leave that blank. We have lost bad debt of 23%. Is this right? Lost bad debt. That seems kind of low, so now I'm questioning if I got that right. Bingo, that's our loss to bad debt right there. Oh, and I did of 10% physical vacancy. This is 16% where we're at now, which is okay in alignment with that 84. Okay, so that's where the 85 comes from. Feeling better about them. A loss to bad debt percentage. I'm not sure what I should populate here, so I'm going to leave it blank. We are not doing non-revenue units, models, or office, especially when we only have 2 bedrooms. It's our biggest unit. Also, our concern with hiring employees or allowing them to live there is when we have, for whatever reason, have to let that employee go, we now are in a sticky situation, right? And for someone to lose both their job and their source of income and their housing all in the same short time frame, it doesn't seem too good. And that's not a business practice I think we should, or a taste I would want to be left in our mouth as a company. In place, utility reimbursement, other income. Okay. Mill rate. Let's see if we go back to our little handy dandy sheet. Control F and then just type in mill rate. And not milk. $2.73 is the tax rate. Taxes are based on 80% of purchase price of, and so they're looking for $10 million, which I think is interesting. Actually, based on 80% of purchase price of 10. Okay, good. All right. Sometimes you just gotta read through, make sure you see what you see. Okay, we are, what did I say it was, you all? I'm getting tired. I am tired. I said it was 2.732. So let's see. This looks like it's a percentage, so we're going to do 0.002. Um, 2.732. 2.732. You see? 0.0. There we go. All right, and now we use the rule of thumbs. And I like to run my numbers conservatively, so this is kind of like some of the easiest parts of populating this information. So we are going to do, this is a small property. I say I want to run my numbers conservatively, which would mean I would use the $1,200 a unit, but in actuality, I really want to just do, all right, we'll do mid-range. We'll go with 1,100 across the board. 5, that's 600. So I am just hovering over. It's telling me what I think it should be. Either way, it's going to come in extremely higher than what this is offering. Our management should be 3.5%. I'm going to go ahead and do 4 because we want the best. 300, 150, 250. Did we just do 200? We are going to get paid. Let's do 2%. Ooh. $100 to $200. So we're going to do 150. And then we're going to hit a miscellaneous of we don't know yet. So at this point, our income is still the same. Alrighty. So interestingly, typically we're supposed to be able to take the gross rent or income and just do high level 50% to cover expenses, and that should put us in the net operating income ballpark. But when I look at their income, all right, so that theory works with their presented numbers, but that in theory doesn't work with what we are saying. So our expenses come in a lot higher than what theirs were coming in at. So that's how they were making money. They were jipping on expenses. So the question becomes, how do we increase that income? Get back to filling up all this vacancy and add value so we can get that 50 market rate. Because at this point, these numbers don't even look enticing to me. If we were at like 900, all right, so let's do that, right? Say we could change it to 900. Okay, so maybe when I changed that number, it didn't really do much here. So let's go ahead and see what happened over here. So right now I'm just trying to see what's happening and where that number gets fed into and how it changes these numbers over here. Because I changed that number, but I didn't see anything change. So I'm going to go ahead and just do Control Z to get us back to what it was. Okay, my apologies. I did see something change. And that was the loss to lease and the upside and how much we could potentially earn. But outside of that, I didn't see anything else change. All right, so let's just continue to move on. I'm going to save. And we've done ours. That was reason why, right? So I just begin looking at this number in comparison to what our income was. So our income, it just pulled all this information over. And sure, granted, I'm missing some items. I wonder if that is it. So there's no concession. So let's go ahead and add in 254,178. No, this is a percentage. So let's go ahead and add in 10%. No, because this is being calculated here. So I'm not too sure. All right, let's see what happens when we put 5% in there. How does that change our number? It looks like it goes down. So let's see if we put 25 in here. Okay. So as we go higher, so a 0 should be giving us our best. So let's do negative 25. I think that's interesting, right? As I change the loss and bad debt percentage, the net operating income fluctuates. So I want to know better. I want to better understand how that calculation works and where it is factoring in. Let's continue to move on because at this point we've only done 3 steps. We are now moving on to step 4. We do not have an assumable loan amount. This information is populated. We are going to go with 20% down. That would make our down payment $1,000,004. Our mortgage amount would then be $5,720,000. Our interest rate is 4%. Let's just keep that here. Interest only, we're not doing. We have it amortized over a period of 250 over 30 and 10. This all looks good with an annual debt service of this amount. And I like to come in and divide it by 12 just to see what that means per month. So we're looking at about $27,000 a month. Right? So that's $27,000 a month for our mortgage. And if we could earn equals this times 176. Ooh, okay. I feel better. So what I just did here was I took our, all right, so I did it for the market. And what I looked at was, okay, I want to compare our monthly income, what we expect to make in it a month, giving our actual or our market, which is only 738 or 767. And then I wanted to compare that to what it is that I owe on a monthly basis for our mortgage, our debt service. So this doesn't take into consideration expenses or anything. So at this point, it's $27,000, right? So I'm bringing in $129 on a conservative month, $134 on a really great month, and out of that, I only owe 27, just about 30 grand to my mortgage company. Which is 21% of our income, right? So I think that's pretty good. typically they say, so that would mean 30% of the other income would cover everything else, right? Because we want to be in under our expenses at 129, about half of this. So if we do half of that, we're doing equals this divided by 2. I don't know why. Don't judge me. We want to make sure our monthly expenses are well below 64. And anything we get lower than 64 means that that's extra cheddar for our investors, right? That's an extra cushion to operate with, assuming that the industry standards apply here. So far, I'm feeling really excited about this. It seems like there's a lot of opportunity, and I think this is a project that we actually need to go ahead and go out to San Antonio and see. That seems pretty interesting. I might look at my schedule and see what I can come up with. All right. So again, that's based off the fact that something's happening funky with their income, right? There's a few things happening there. Our expenses, they're definitely low, which means they're low balling. And that's not an area where you cut corners. When you cut corners there, then there is more issues in the long run. I believe in doing things right the first time and doing it of decent and substandard quality to make sure, and our standards, what we deem to be our baseline standards, right? Which is not always the lowest on the price scale or in the matter of quality. You all, it is 12:34 here, so I'm gonna just continue to go on. This is the mortgage information. I'm feeling pretty good. Let's move on to step 5. Step 5, closing costs. We are going to say that the industry average is about 3%. We can check in with the coach. That would make our closing cost $214,000. We're going to assume that there's a 1% loan appoint, and that would mean that this would become 57. Our loan points will cost 57,000. Acquisition fee is 3%. That would put us in at 214,000. All right, and now I just want to divide that by 3 because that's an acquisition fee. That's something we walk away with at the table. That's 71,000 right there in our very first deal, you all. And that's just with the acquisition fee alone. I'm not making this, unfortunately. But I work like I do. And at one point I did with overtime, but they snatched that up from me. Sorry, I think I'm going to have to cut that out. But anyways, that is divided by 3 people, right? Come on, you all. This is just one deal. And I'm just... All right, anyways. That would mean that the guarantor fee would be 71, which I think should be negotiable. That would bring us down to a first year insurance 3.4, which would be 70,000. I told you the insurance looked really extremely low to me. Property tax based off of the mill rate. And I was always wondering why that's done divided by 3 and not quarterly, because taxes are paid quarterly. Am I right? Or am I right? I mean, I could be wrong. Utility deposit contingency would be required. Capital improvements. Capital reserves. We are looking at $350 per door. Again, remember this property is a little older, but it was repaired. So I would love to know at what point does that number fluctuate. So we're going to go conservatively. We're going to go ahead and do 350. Real suggested exit cap rate is wow. Cap at resale. So let's just say we're going to offer them a 6% cap rate. And that's our split, 30 to 70. So I'm going to save because we've inputted all the information incorrectly. Okay, so maybe this number is this way because we haven't yet added our value add opportunities. which I am not sure we are going to get to tonight because I am really about to crash. So we are going to have a part B. We still need to add in our value add. We need to address our rent unit mix, which will then allow us to check out our rent roll. So while we're here, let's just look at our rent roll to make sure that we have all the information that we're probably going to need. If not, this would be a good time where we would reach back out to the broker and say, hey, so and so and so. This is probably a good time, seeing that we know that our data is stale from December and November. We could ask for updated items, right? That 18 vacancy could very much well be at 50. That definitely is a game changer. Yeah, I think we should go ahead and see this property. I'm getting excited now. I'm looking at the market rent. I just want to look at the average, see what we got going on here. Wow, I see some that are at 600. So that was at 134. Let's see what my high level numbers came in at. 134, 992. Wow, look at that. I must be doing something right, huh, y'all? Market rent. I wonder how this guy's paying $1,530. Or is that what he owes? Maybe that's what he owes. All right, that's something that's interesting. Yeah, that must be what they owe. All right, so let's look at the high level stats. There are 83% at market rent, 16% that aren't even rented. Okay, so this looks like it's going to give us the information that we need. High level, I'm just recognizing a lot of vacancies. I was trying to understand what this total column represented, but it looks like it's total of what is being owed. I didn't see anything above $1,000. I mean, $2,000, which is awesome. I think that's pretty awesome given the fact that we've been in a pandemic for the last 2 years. So I'd be interested in seeing like what programs are they utilizing or how it is that they managed to keep their rent roll and their bad debt so low. I do see that there's a lot of vacancies, so maybe that's it. Maybe they found a loophole to get people out and they've gotten rid of who they can, and I'm not sure. Maybe it's I don't see. Okay, I do see some leases ending in 21. Right, so there's a lot going on. I think it's just interesting. We'll get to it, just not tonight. Let's go back and see what else we have to do in our underwriting template. Once we do the rent unit mix, we populate that information. Then we'll be able to come on over and see what we're really working with. At this point, I want to see, it said it was valued at $10 million. At $10 million, I'm not seeing it. I am not seeing it. So I think this is the best time to buy. I want to go in and let's get this for $5 million. If we can come in and get this for $5 million, I just don't see how that is not a win. So let's go ahead and see what happens when I do $5 million. Missing a zero. Wow, it's saying it's going to be worth $14 million if we exit. I don't know why I'm over here. I need to come to my underwriting data to see what happens. Okay, so with that purchase price, what that does is it changes our debt service coverage ratio, right? So if we come here, that means our debt service coverage ratio is now 19 instead of what it was, which now means we still making that money, right? Right, so now instead of 129, you see how that works? We're now at 14%. So I am just excited. I think this is good. I believe. So you're like, well, Venice, how are you ever going to offer $5 million? So let's go back. Control Z. We initially did it off 7150. That 7150 is a multiple of 10 based off of what their pro forma has said is going on in their property. So it is nice to assume that they are going to fudge the numbers or make them look better than they actually are. So let's look at these 5 years pro forma assumptions and what they're saying can happen. They currently are in 1569. They're saying in year one, you can go ahead and raise it to 1684. It's making an assumption that this number is going to go down steadily. Although historically and what the data is telling us is that this eviction item may get pushed down the road again. So that's something that needs to be factored in at a high risk level. Economic occupancy, they're saying it's going to 86% for the first year in reference to the fact that they're giving us an 85 and that we would be able to stabilize it to 90. Net rent per unit, so you're currently bringing in $624 per unit and you expect that I'm going to be able to get it at $688. You haven't really told me how much it's going to cost me to get me at that, for that $60 increase. And then you're going to tell me in year 2, year 3, and year 4, it's going to just steadily increase? My numbers are currently using these numbers right here. So if you tell me I really should be using 624, I should come over here and go to my underwriting sheet and do 624. Right? So now that changes my income from 109, but my debt service coverage ratio is still 27,000. That's a game changer. Now I'm looking at 25%, which means I only have 25% to take care of my admin and my other expenses, right? So maybe there's opportunity to play with the expenses to get to something, but I think it's just really interesting. So this is what underwriting is all about, understanding what it is that's going on and seeing the story that the numbers are telling. So they're going to say that in the first year, we have the ability to increase it over by 9.4. And then the second year run into 6%. And then 2 years from there over. Okay. And they're basing that off of implementing the RUBS income. So does this mean they've already done this? Because this is saying it's a part of their current year. I do see that it's increasing over time. This year is higher than the next year, though. So I think that's kind of funky. You've had questionable income for so long, but now you're about to bring it up to 50,000. Everything about this seems very questionable. So they're at 1439 expenses, net operating income. See, their net operating income currently is at 671. I'm going in and I'm changing my number right away. I am changing my number right away. So how it go from 715 to 671? You notice the 039 is still the same. I'm changing it. I am changing it. Come on, y'all. We are now at a 10.69 cap rate. What? Shut your mouth. All right. So even without diving even further, I think this is a property we should go and look at, and figure out what is going on. All right, so now that I was looking at that acquisition fee, I automatically started to think, well, what are my taxes going to be on that? Because I've never received a check that high. Right, we're over at this acquisition fee. Equals this number divided by 3, right? How'd that number get lower? Oh, because our purchase price dropped. Crap, so now we're down into 67,000. So higher purchase price, the better off. Either way, we always want the best interest of our investors. So let's see. My standard rule of thumb is just to take 30%. It always just makes me feel better. I'm tired, you all. Equals times 0.7. I make silly mistakes when I'm tired. All right, so my take-home pay out of that amount would be only $46,000, which I think is really good. I mean, my goal is to passively bring in $7,000 a month. I recognize that that's going to bring in some work and require some time and some effort and some energy. I am okay with living well below my means until then. This right here would allow me to, let's see, equals divided by 12. I can take care of my monthly expenses with that amount right there. And to be able to know that this is just one deal, and this is within like our first week of underwriting, you know what I mean? To know that there's several of these deals in the pipeline and that I potentially could close on 3 or 4 more, or even another one. Just, I want to get 4 done, y'all. But just to have a second one come in at these numbers, I'm good. I am good. Listen, I will then be able to devote myself full time to this, and I won't be exhausted. I have a very labor extensive job. I'm sorry, mentally labor intensive job, right? I deal with spreadsheets and numbers and things like this all day as well at work. So when I come home, or actually I'm working virtually, but when it's time for me to shift into plan B, legacy creations, clearance real estate solutions, I just need some time to reset myself. And I would much prefer to just be doing this all day versus the other one. Don't get me wrong, Lord. Father, I like the security of a stable income while I am doing this, and I will work 80 hours a week if I need to until I get this check. Once this check comes in, I mean, if I'm doing this underwriting now as a part-time job, can you imagine what would happen if I'm able to replace my full-time, quote-unquote, 40 plus and fluctuating hours a week job? That would allow me to devote so much more time to building out the partnerships that we need and getting legacy creations on the map. Let's transform cities, you all. Let's take over. This is really exciting. I'm so excited. I can't contain myself. I probably should continue to move on, but I'm so tired and I really need to sleep. So recognizing when to stop is very important. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. I'm liking the fact that we're just dropping this. I really like my 5 million. Let's see what they say.
They didn't like my lowball offers in the residential market. Or some people didn't. I didn't.
It is what it is. This property has been on the market since November. Since November of last year, 2020. So you let me know whether or not they're ready to sell. I think they might have some incentive. Okay, you all, with that said, I will talk to you next time. Adios.